Hello, everyone. In today's podcast, I want to talk about the karmic lessons, repeating. I think we all know about these lessons. They just keep coming up over and over again, and they're part of our karma that we're trying to burn off. Don't get really frustrated too much. Don't be too hard on yourself. We set these up so we can ascend, so we can grow. However, in the midst of it all, sometimes we're blind and don't see how it's happening. The lessons will often come in some kind of form. It will be often about power and control, perhaps standing up to abuse. It can be forgiveness. It can be around our stubbornness. Sometimes it'll be around our personalities, traits that are getting in our way. Sometimes we're far too independent. Sometimes we lean on people too much and we're codependent. So if you start looking back, you will be able to work out what your lesson is, because it just keeps coming up. It'll come up with the same types of people. When I say the base same types of people, they will be either, if you're doing one with control, there will be issues where you keep attracting controllers. Having said that, remember that the control will come in all different ways. So you can have the outright controller, and very obviously they want their own way and they're power people. But you can also have the subtle one, or the covert one, where they maintain control. They're very sweet and nice, but at the end of the day, you're still minding their dog and you don't know how that happened. So be aware that it'll come in different guises. That's your lesson repeating. At first, I didn't realise, because I kept getting the same thing over and over again, and it would have the same messy ending. And then as time passed, I realised that I'd set this lesson up for myself. The interesting thing about whatever the issue is, that once you learn it in one form, you will then, with spirit, give it back to yourself in a more subtle form. It's almost like they say, oh, well, she's got it now, so now we'll just give it to her in this kind of disguise and see if she gets it. The lesson will keep repeating until you learn how to stand up to the person, if it's, say, a controller, or deal with your own control. Controllers are interesting because they will bring up issues for us with control as well, because we want to respond back, and that's part of your lesson. If you're doing lessons around love and forgiveness, you'll probably have a lot of people around you who are unloving and unforgiving and difficult, so they will actually make it hard for you in some ways to keep doing that. But you need to remember that this is your karmic lesson that you're setting up. Of course, they've got the opposite lesson in which they can learn, but at the end of the day, it's still all about what you're trying to achieve and how you're trying to step up. Karma is interesting in this way, that we will actually draw the same scenarios back in, or the same people from many other lives, actually, many past lives. Once you start to see what's happening around you, then it's easier to work out what your issue is, or the issue that you keep not dealing well with, and then how to fix it. So once you decide which one it is, then it's time for you to start doing what I call the work, and that's changing how you respond. I think in our world it's mostly going to be about love, and then power and control, which of course includes all forms of abuse. This is a very interesting thing to work through during your life. As you get better and better at it, you'll find you have less and less of those situations coming up, and then every now and it comes up, and you very quickly you work it out, whereas it might have taken you 3 years to figure it out with that person. Now it takes you 1 or 2 months, maybe even a week or two, because your instincts are now more finely honed and you are recognising it straight away. Don't see it as a bad thing in your life, see it as a good thing. I did used to get frustrated because I would be like, oh, damn, doing that again, or that's happening again. Oh, I didn't see it. But now I go, okay, so this is another form. Manipulation and manipulative people are also very much hard to see because they're so good at it. And if they're close to your heart, you will be a little bit blinded, I think, by your heart or your love for them. We need to see that everyone does it in different ways, but whether we want to be part of that game or that play, that's up to us now. Whereas before we would just go into it, just be part of it. Now we make a decision, yes or no. In your life you will find these patterns will repeat, then you'll get different versions, and then you actually might just get a brand new one that you've decided this life, and a new karmic lesson that now you want to learn. The biggest one I think to learn is unconditional love and forgiveness. And I would say that's pretty hard, that one, because it's very hard to be loving and kind to people when they're not being the same way toward you. You can step away a little bit if you need to and have a breather and let them live their life for a while without you. Not in a mean way, but you can have space while you almost recharge and then reset. People don't change unless they want to change. And there's two reasons they change. I feel they change because they want to, as I said, but the second reason, they change because it's going to give them some gain. Not all changes are coming from an altruistic point of view. I notice selfish people will change because it serves their own needs. And you actually need to be aware of that and know whether that's okay for you. I actually think it probably is, because if you treat people well, maybe eventually you'll start doing it more naturally. Karma is a complex subject to talk about because everyone will have different views on it. And I'm only telling you from my perspective. You might have different insights and different opinions, and that's good too, because we all come from different realms and different realities. But having that part of the karmic lesson in our lives is going to be probably for everyone. We will burn certain karma with particular people who become very important in our lives. I think our family and our partners and some friends and even some workmates where we can be messed around with, or people can not treat us well at work. They are also our karmic lessons. Once we stand up and learn the karma, the relationship alters dramatically or it just ends. And that can be okay. Yeah, when I say that, it sounds easy, but it's quite hard, particularly if it's in a family grouping. But you can also be okay in the sense that now you accept it, that they are like that and they're going to bring up and trigger you, and you choose not to be triggered. So you can still have people in your life if you want to, but your response to them will be quite different. And I think your investment in them will be less. You won't invest as much in them because you know that you can only go so far. Keep doing your lessons. It is frustrating. I found that I just kept bringing up the same pattern over and over again until I started to work it out. And even now, every now and then I'll get back in that situation, and then later on think, oh man, I missed that. But that's okay too, because I'm doing like the finer versions of whatever the lesson I'm trying to do, my karmic lesson. Karma burned is very good for you, and in many ways it's also very good for the other person. It gives them opportunity to balance it out. Don't be hard. As I said at the beginning of this podcast, this is really hard to do because, in a way, I think we're rather blind to our own karmic lessons. We don't always see them. Other people will see them. They will know that you're having trouble with power and control, or you need to work on this or that, or you can't handle certain types of people or situations. They will see it very clearly. But when we're in it, we don't think we see it as clearly. And that's sort of part of the game or the big lesson. I think you can do this. I keep doing it. I don't see that it has an end in this life. I think I'll keep presenting myself with new karmic lessons, but I don't mind in a way because I'm trying to be a better person and improve myself. So I can only do that by changing, and I can only change if I see where I have to change. You have to be able to see it. If you have any good friends or people around you, you can ask them. If you ask people, particularly spiritual people, they'll often tune in for you and say, well, that's a lesson in tolerance, or that's a lesson in patience. You can have lots of lessons. They're going to be in all different areas, and people will actually see your lesson very quickly and clearly. For example, you know the people who keep going out with the same person and it ends the same tragic way, and you've had them on the phone crying or been their friend and taught them through it. But it's because they keep choosing the same karmic lesson. The people are different, but the lesson's the same. Once they learn the lesson, they stop choosing those sorts of people. And in a sense, we always think we don't deserve better. I don't know why we are like that, but we are, as humans, we're like that. And we need to change that because we deserve everything. We deserve to give to others and have others give to us. However, life can twist things and we can feel that we're not good enough because of our backgrounds. You need to change that. That's a big one to change, that you are enough and you are good enough. And then possibly it's easier to deal with those karmic lessons because when they come in, you decide whether you want that in your life or not anymore. As I say every time, have a good week. I thought I better start changing that. It's getting a bit boring, isn't it? But with the world as it is, I think I'm hoping for healing for the world. And I hope you can find your karmic lessons and know that we're all doing them, and we're all doing them in different ways and to various degrees. It's something we've set up for ourselves. I'm sending you love and light.